Here we go, starting on Sora is Bad episode 4, and let's get right into it. Here is our first find. Alright, so this one is pretty wild. The prompt is fairly simple, an anthropomorphic pig wearing a black and red flannel, working at a computer doing image editing in Photoshop, sunlight streaming in through an open window near him. Now, I'm going to preface this by mentioning it doesn't say anything about glasses at all, and here we go. Put on a pair of glasses. Oh, they float up. A second pair. Oh, they blend. Nope, take those back off. Put them back down. Oh, the first ones fall off, and now, oh, it is just a mess through and through. Now, other than that, there are some issues with this keyboard. You can see the keys kind of, it looks like they're poorly drawn. Now, the computer itself is another sort of issue. The keyboard is messed up, but look in front of the computer there, which I'm assuming that's the monitor. It would make sense that this is a keyboard or something, and you can even see the touchpad, but it's built into the table that it's sitting on. Nothing else. So it has the right idea, it's just not executed well at all. And then we can see the mouse, which is right next to the keyboard. It just kind of disappears. For whatever reason, they're like, man, get that mouse out of here. So there are a couple frames where it's moving very quickly to the left, and then it's just gone. It disappears. But look over here to the right, there's another mouse right there for some reason. So again, as we have come to expect, it knows what should be in here. It knows what objects are, but as soon as it starts to move, it all falls apart. For video number 2, here we go. I see 2 more back to back that we absolutely have to go over. So the first one is this one. We can see that it's a strong remix, so we're going to go back to that one. That one was also a strong remix. We're going to go back one more time. Now this is a really long prompt, so I'll just kind of go over it quickly. It's a story about 2 Cocker Spaniels that cross the Rainbow Bridge. They want them to be around a certain weight, around a certain age, and describe the scene. So this is what it is. And you can see right there, it goes from 2, and then it just kind of morphs into 3. That other one just pops out of nowhere. That dog kind of separates where its lower back would be, and then boom, 3 dogs. So they did a strong remix. This one starts with 3 dogs, even though they said, I want it to be just 2 Cocker Spaniels. Again, each weight about this, age around this. Excited to see the second one when they cross the Rainbow Bridge. So it has 3, even though they specifically said, I want it to be just 2. And then as we've come to expect, toward the end here, the one in the lower right, its back becomes its front because its head, or its tail turns into an ear, and then its head just kind of pops out, and that's it. So on to the last strong remix, and now keep in mind, for all of these, they're generating them at 720p, so they're spending some credits, and each remix still takes credits. You don't get refunded for them. This one says, this video again has 3 dogs. I only want 2. Both dogs, blah, blah, blah. So we have 2 dogs. Pop! Just kidding. 3 dogs, or at least 2 dogs with an extra head just randomly in the middle of it for no reason. It just pops into existence. Like, it doesn't even come out. It doesn't even morph. It is just there, out of the back of that other dog for the rest of the video. Next up is video number 3. Now here's a pretty interesting one, a little bit different than what we've seen before. So the prompt is super slow motion shot of falling and stacking parts of hamburgers. So we've seen this in commercials before where it's kind of slow motion. You have the bun, and then maybe even for like a Subway commercial or a hamburger, and the stuff slowly falls. You've got the patty, you've got the cheese, you've got the lettuce, whatever it is. So let's take a look at what it came up with, and then we'll go over it. Now, the funniest thing to me is that this looks realistic. That looks like a real bun. It looks like a real tomato, real lettuce, everything. It looks good. So it starts with basically a complete hamburger. It is slow motion, and then it lands, but then the lettuce kind of gets sucked up into the top. And then all of a sudden it's like a magic trick. Oh, have it your way. You don't want lettuce and you want 2 tomato slices? We can do that. But that goes off the rails when that bottom tomato absorbs the patty, and then we have some cheese and some lettuce coming out from behind nothing, like very quickly too. It's just like not there. And then all of a sudden within these frames, it's there. Like, I don't know, 3 or 4 frames. And then it lands again. The whole thing's slow motion, so it understands the basics of what we want, but this just isn't realistic. So you wouldn't really be able to use this in any sort of commercial project, but it does look good and it is kind of funny and interesting. And scrolling through the feed, I just found video number 4. We already know that the internet is cats. This has a prompt that says, a gray cat sitting upright grips the steering wheel of a 2012 light Citroën C3. The cat's eyes are wide as it peers over the dashboard. The iconic domes and minarets of Hagia Sophia are visible in the background, showcasing the bustling streets of Istanbul. I probably am messing up on some of these words. Apologies. The car smoothly navigates through a mix of modern and historic architecture, capturing the vibrant essence of the city. The sky is clear, adding a sense of adventure to the whimsical scene. Now, down here at the bottom, I haven't really pointed this out before, we can see where these little storyboard parts are supposed to be. So when I mouse over that first one, we can see over here on the left, right by the play button, lights up. For the second storyboard, that's kind of in the second half over to the right. So the second storyboard is the car drives past a street vendor selling colorful Turkish lanterns, the cat's ears twitching with curiosity. So right off the bat from the first frame, it looks like we already have the second part of the storyboard with these colorful lanterns in the background there. Immediately, we can see that this car is not quite right. It kind of has 2 steering wheels. That rearview mirror doesn't make sense. And there's almost like a sun visor slash, front corner of the car, like part of the frame, just kind of existing up here. It's driving, I'll continue now. It's driving down the street sideways. The cat kind of had its paws on the steering wheel for a second, but it's definitely not driving or anything. So just the fact that the car is so messed up, driving down the street sideways, that tire up there isn't spinning for the first 3/4 of the video, and then the traffic is kind of coming at the car on both sides. So it's not like, it's not one-way traffic unless it is, and this car that the cat is in is going the wrong way. But first, we have these cars on our right coming toward us, and then up here on the left, they start to come toward us also, just those last few frames. So just a bunch of unusual stuff. Again, this would not be able to be used in any sort of professional fashion. This looks unusual. We'll go number 5 with this one, I guess. So, a man flying on a pigeon with Starbucks in hand. So it has the basics. That movement isn't perfect, but it's passable for some basic stuff. That pigeon doesn't have a head. And it's not one of those cases where that pigeon and that man kind of like blended together. So it's a pigeon with like the man's torso sticking out. It just plain doesn't have a head. So that's kind of odd. The drinking of the Starbucks, it doesn't look like there's a straw in that top, yet he's kind of like sitting there sucking on the top in an unusual way, not really tipping it up like you might if it was actually filled with a beverage. So, as we see over and over again, it has the basics, it has the right idea, but the execution is just way off. I've shown these before, but let's go number 6 right here. The prompt is, please create a video showing a Korean person in an office using a chatbot program installed on a laptop to ask questions, with the chatbot providing answers. Subtitles should not be included. I wonder if they added that because they had some previous generations that they were working on. So this could have been done on the basic $20 a month. It is 10 seconds long, but it's 480p, so that's possible without them having dumped $200 a month on this. But as I always see, I don't think once I've seen a person look like they're actually typing on a keyboard. They're kind of off to the side and they're kind of tapping on a corner of it, and we can see in there that those keys are not quite right. They're like, they're not really lumpy, but they're just kind of like jagged, wibbly wobbly edges. And they're just kind of oddly like have their hands on the corner of the touchpad, not on the keyboard, not using the touchpad. It's just a very unusual thing, but they're kind of sort of typing a little bit. I don't know. It's just, it seems like something so basic that Sora should be really good at, but it's just not. So on to number 7. All right, I can tell that this is going to use a storyboard, but I'm curious what they want. So a close-up of a team member waving a magic wand over a computer. So sure, that can be a magic wand. Then the screen flashes and the problem on the screen disappears. Then team members react with exaggerated surprise and excitement. And lastly, team gathers around the computer with a tagline like, making problems disappear. So I'm just going to assume that maybe this person has some kind of a computer repair shop or does something like that. They wanted a commercial. This is a good idea for a commercial. I like that. And let's see how it goes. So magic wand, waves it. There's a flash that takes over the whole screen and something that looks like fireworks going off, and they still have the magic wand, and a person appears. That's what's happened so far. It's a hand holding a wand, and then there's this firework, and now there's a person behind it. And for a second there, their hands kind of are one and the same, right? So the original hand is kind of holding the thing, and there's the wrist for it, and then this new person's hand is also on it all of a sudden, and then they kind of like their hand, it doesn't let go, it just kind of blends into the pinky of the person in the back becomes the pinky of the person that was originally holding this. That other arm disappears, and now we can see this white sleeve going all the way down. The wand kind of oddly starts to drop, a new head pops out, the first one disappears, and then so there's another arm over there. Let's see what's going on with that in a white sleeve, and then all of a sudden another firework for some reason. I'm not sure why. There's another firework. The wand is gone. That arm is different because there's a white sleeve on it there. White sleeves on both of those, and now all of a sudden there's no sleeve and there's a watch. So that's a different person. And the other person who was standing in the back right here, this red-headed woman wearing that kind of darker red jacket and a white shirt, is just gone, like disappears. So we do still have somebody in that dark red shirt, but that other woman is gone, nowhere to be found. It does have some pretty exaggerated, excited people, and then it just kind of goes to another firework for some reason, and they're still super excited. The wand made a comeback. That's a different person yet again. So like in that red blazer thing, we have this woman, we have that dude, and then we have this new woman again, and then I'm not sure what's going back over here. Like, is that conjoined twins or something? Also not too sure how she's pointing at that screen with like 3 long fingers and something that's a mix between a finger and a thumb, and pointing like with her wrist out like that. It's just, I say it over and over again, but the more you look at that. Here, grab my strong hand. The more you look at it, the worse it gets. And this is just, it's not usable as a commercial. I just laugh every time that I think for the past 8+ months, they have been teasing this as this just huge game changer, too dangerous to release to the public because it's so realistic. No, it's not. So on to find number 8, and it probably won't take long. So a little earlier, we saw the video of the pig with glasses. I don't know what it is with Sora and not understanding glasses, but make a video of a king smiling in the palace with a suit in dark green and glasses, very classy. Now I can understand why this would be a king. I don't know if they wanted this kind of king or another kind of king, but it doesn't really matter because what we're looking at here is the glasses. It did say suit dark green. I can see that being dark green. It's kind of like a dark teal. And he's wearing glasses. So what does he do? Kind of reaches up, takes them off, boom, second pair. Now I've seen comedy bits of that where they just keep taking off glasses and it's supposed to be funny. They didn't say anything about this being like a funny joke. It's just he's got glasses, he takes some off, he still has some on, he's smiling. And another perfect example of it can look really good. Like if you pause that in the end, that could be a still photograph, a high quality HD photograph of this dude looking out the window, but video wise, nope. All right, let's find number 8. Or if it's number 9, let's find number 9. Let's find the next one. The next number is what we're going to find. All right, we're going to do 2 of these back to back. It's going to be like a double one. So Will Smith eating a bowl of spaghetti. So I was going to reference that, of course, because that was the first sort of taste of AI video that we got recently, and it was bad. I looked it up again just recently, and this isn't much better. It really isn't. So he brings it up, he kind of puts it in his mouth, kind of licking. He's like, no, I'm not ready yet. And then all of a sudden, some of the noodles get sucked up into nothing. Well, I don't even know what that expression is, but he like dumps the spaghetti into the bowl. The knife or the fork turns into a spoon. Some spaghetti comes back up. It turns into a fork again. It is just a mess. So this one was actually from a different user and made at the same time, or at least pretty close it looks. This one is Dylan Bosch, guy in picture uploaded, eating a ton of food aggressively. So he already has a pretty aggressive look on his face there, and there is a ton of food. So let's see what happens. So the food is in the mouth. It's back out of the mouth. Like, why? Why is that a thing that happens so frequently with Sora? I don't know. And then taking a look at that fork in the left hand, it starts out as just kind of like it's a spoon right there. And then it kind of gets just into this little strip. You can barely even see it. And then as it comes around again, that fork head kind of comes out, and there are 5 or 6 tines on it, I guess. And then it kind of comes down and bends around that plate, kind of sinks in there, and that's it. So, this is really bad. That's all I have to say about it. Eating is still a far off dream for Sora and its image generation. But we can look for number 9. All right, this caught my eye because they're moving backwards, and I wanted to know if they actually prompted for that. Create me a personalized Christmas video wish showing snow-covered Mount Shasta in California. It should feel like from a new-wed couple that are trying to share their life by spreading love and warm wishes. It should be themed around the best Christmas place. Use things like Santa, reindeers, and other Christmas items. So this doesn't really say anything about a newlywed couple to me. I mean, maybe that could be like a little, cabin that they rented out as part of a honeymoon or a getaway or something like that. So I'll let that slide. It did mention reindeer as, having something festive. There's no Santa to be found. Those are a heck of a lot of reindeer, but the main issue is those reindeer are going backward for some reason. Why? And then it kind of on its own. So they didn't use a storyboard for multiple scenes here. It just chose on its own to go from this scene and just skip over to this one where it kind of goes green for some reason, and it starts to zoom in, and then it pops back out again, and then it starts to zoom out, and then it goes back to this reindeer thing again, and they're still going backward. So this 5-second clip, I'm just going to let it play through. See, the problem is when it loops, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes where it stops and starts. We also have those reindeer on the roof by the chimney, and they just disappear. So it's going. It goes to the other scene, comes back to this one, and those reindeer are still there. And then just all of a sudden, boom, one frame, they're gone. They go away, and those little specks left behind kind of pop out one after the next. So playing this through, immediately wrong. That doesn't make any sense. Immediately wrong. So what a mess. My goodness. Let's find number 10. All right, we'll see how this goes. People walking, it seems like, truth be told, it is a fairly complex thing, but it shouldn't be complex for 2024 state-of-the-art AI knows everything about human everything. I want a video of new home buyers walking around a new construction home in Salt Lake City. So, being Salt Lake City, mountains in the background, makes sense. I could see this being a neighborhood with new home construction, nice green grass, all that stuff. So, as they're walking, you always have to look for limbs popping in and out of existence, the right leg becoming the left leg, vice versa, having too many fingers, that's still an issue with AI. So, they're walking along, and all of a sudden, in this indoor shot. So right now, that woman's feet are facing in a way, this is her heel, that she's walking toward this big sliding door back there. Yet her torso, her hair kind of makes it look more like she's facing us, and the guy is facing us. So her legs seem off there. And then as she takes a step, he's putting his foot behind his front foot, and they're crossing over, and look at her leg. So her torso is facing this way. Both of their faces are jacked up right now. I don't know what's going on with that. Now her torso is definitely facing us. His torso is facing us. His legs are still crossed for some reason, and her feet are still the wrong way. And then they take another step, and his legs still, like, that's just a mess of legs. She's still walking away. He's still kind of walking toward us. Together, they're kind of walking in a direction away and to the right. And then what happens when they hit the window? Boom! Nothing. It stops just before that. So this first little clip, okay, you might be able to use a second of that. But as soon as it switches over to this indoor shot, which it wasn't prompted, Sora just did that on its own, this is just so jacked up. And I've mentioned this before in videos too. Sometimes you can generate a clip and you might be able to use a second or two of it, cut out the stuff that doesn't work. But man, when you're generating and you're paying for credits and you're doing this, you don't want to have to do extra editing just to make up for the shortcomings of the video generator. But, you know, it's better than nothing, I guess. And that's going to be it for episode 4 of Sora is Bad. We saw some new stuff this time. There's plenty of more that we could go through, but we'll save some for episodes 5 through 10. Thank you for watching so far. I hope you're enjoying it, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.